are multiple debates being had in the United States over the federal minimum wage. There's a debate over whether or not to raise it, then there's a debate over how much to raise it by, there's a separate debate about leaving it up to the states, not to mention a whole other debate about whether or not there should even be a minimum wage. And since all of these debates revolve around economics, they rage on. But let's say you're someone who simply doesn't think that it's a good idea to raise the minimum wage. If somebody was to ask you, why not raise the minimum wage, citing automation would not be a worthwhile answer. It seems like a suitable counter-argument at first glance. The idea is that if it costs too much money to hire human beings, employers will inevitably replace their employees with robots.
So we told you this might happen. As more cities and states hike the minimum wage, more companies are looking to replace workers with cheaper machines.
McDonald's, if they're forced to go from $7.50 an employee or whatever it is, $9 an employee, to $15, they're just going to replace them all with iPads.
Automation would be inevitable if the minimum wage was raised. It would also be inevitable if the minimum wage was not raised. Automation is inevitable, period. It's the reason why there's been a dramatic decrease in the number of people who farm, assemble cars, connect telephone calls on switchboards, and wrap chocolates on sitcoms. Automation has been replacing human labor for a long time, and in all fairness, it is a two-sided coin. While automation wipes out jobs initially, it's a byproduct of advancing technology, and that in turn is how newer jobs come about.
Automation's going to happen anyway, right?
It's called progress. Progress has been happening since time began, and if McDonald's can put in a system that makes it easier for them and their clients, it's got nothing to do with the minimum wage.
I really do think these two are unrelated. I tend toward Rick on this one. The reality is businesses are not in business to create jobs. They're in that to create profits for shareholders. And if you look at cars, computers, the internet, they were huge job destroyers that ultimately created much better jobs because they led to profits.
The argument that is made in favor of raising the federal minimum wage is that it ought to be an amount that allows a full-time employee to afford the basic necessities of living. Now again, any argument regarding economics is subject to a fierce debate, and that's okay. But if you're going to argue against raising the minimum wage, citing automation is not a proper way to do that, because it does not honestly address the argument in favor of raising it.
Think of the economy as a car and the rich man as the driver. If you don't give the driver all the money, he'll drive you over a cliff. It's just common sense.
I mean, most bosses, let's face it, particularly small companies, they're not like Mr. Burns. They care about their employees.